This week for reading, we are going to learn about author's purpose. So, this is something new, and we're going to learn what the author's purpose is of different books, stories, passages that we read. So, the author's purpose is the reason an author writes something. So, in writing, we're talking about writing a narrative, we're writing something about ourselves. And right now, we are writing that to entertain our reader. So, we're going to look at the different reasons that authors write stories. It's as easy as pie. So, the P in pie means to persuade. This is one reason that authors write stories or articles or passages. If they're persuading you, it means the author wants to convince you to do something or think a certain way. So here's some examples of when authors are persuading you. Political speeches. So you probably saw a lot of these before our election in November, where someone is trying to convince you to vote for a certain president or somebody running for a different office. An advertisement. You'll see these in newspapers. You'll see them in magazines. When someone is trying to convince you to buy their product, it could be a brand of perfume or cologne, or it could be a type of candy or some sort of food. But the people that own that company are trying to convince you to buy their product. And letters. Sometimes we write letters to convince people to do certain things. So over here is an example of one, recycling. So sometimes we want to convince people to recycle because it helps keep our earth clean, our earth healthy. So this is an example of someone trying to persuade. The I in pie stands for inform. So to inform, this means that the author gives you information or facts about a topic, and we are reading this to learn. Here are some examples of to inform. Nonfiction books. So remember, these are books that are real story about real things. They tell us real facts. Textbooks, so our social studies book, our science book, these are written to inform. It's written to teach you something. An encyclopedia. And an encyclopedia is not something that we use often now, but it's a book with the topics listed in alphabetical order. And it teaches us information so we could research about something we want to learn about from an encyclopedia. And also news articles. So if you are reading the newspaper, the articles in there are written to inform. They're trying to teach you something. The E in pie stands for entertain. To entertain, the author, if the author is trying to entertain you, it means they want to amuse you. So we read this for fun and we read it for enjoyment. So this is what we were talking about with our narrative. We are trying to entertain our audience. We are the people that are reading our narratives. We are trying to entertain them. So we want them to read it for fun. So that's why we spend time making it interesting and making the reader be able to picture in their mind what we're saying so that it is entertaining for them. Here are some examples. Fiction books. So if you read Dog Man or you read Pete the Cat, those are all written to entertain us. Chapter books. So if you have read High Low Story or Junie B. Jones. Those are all written to entertain us. Poetry. So if you read poems, poems are usually written to entertain us. And folk tales. So stories that are written to teach us a lesson, but they're usually fiction and are written to entertain us. So there is another E for pie also. And this one is to explain. So the author is explaining how to do something. Now, it's easy to get this confused with the I to inform. So we're going to talk about how those are different. So let's look at some examples. How-to books, manuals, cookbooks, and science experiments. Now, if you notice, all of these are teaching you step by step of how to do something. So if you see something that is written in a format of a step-by-step directions, that is going to be to explain. Now, inform can be written using the text features that we've talked about earlier in the year. They're written in sections, and they have pictures and photographs and graphs with captions. And the sections have paragraphs about different things. That is usually something that is written to inform. When you're explaining, it is written in step-by-step directions. So a how-to book is teaching you how to do something step by step. A manual is something that you get if you're building something or you're putting something together. It has step-by-step directions of how to do it. A cookbook has step-by-step directions or recipes to cook something. And science experiments have step-by-step directions of how to conduct an experiment. So let's look at a few examples. By the big red barn in the great green field. So the big red barn. So look at the pictures and look at the words and see if you can figure out what the author's purpose is. Here are some clues. It has illustrations. The text is written as a story with a setting. And it's fiction. It is written to entertain. So if you guessed entertain, you are correct. All right, what is the purpose? All right, look here. We have text features. We have photographs. We have different facts about animal habitats. And it is nonfiction. This one is to inform. So if you said to inform, you are correct. All right, this is an advertisement. So it has a picture of a burger and it says, "Give me a big juicy burger with lettuce, tomato, ketchup, mustard, pickles, and onions. Hold the fat. New McLean Deluxe, 91% fat free." So it's a McDonald's advertisement. It has a photograph of the product and it's trying to convince me to buy something. This one is to persuade. How to train a puppy. Our clues are it has a title and a photograph, and it is a how-to book. So what do you think the purpose of this one is? The purpose of this one is to explain. So it's a how-to book. So it's going to give you step-by-step directions on how to train a puppy. All right, here is a trick question for you. Is How to Train a Dragon a how-to book? How to Train a Dragon would not be a how-to book. How to Train a Dragon is actually a fiction story that is written to entertain. All right, so let's look at a couple more examples. The state of Australia's bird. has a photograph of a bird. What do you think that the purpose is? A, persuade, B, inform, or C, entertain? And if you give a moose a muffin, is that A, persuade, B, inform, or C, entertain? The state of Australia's birds is to inform, and if you give a moose a muffin, is to entertain. All right, let's look at what the purposes of these. Eat fruit and be healthy. Is that written? Is the purpose of that to persuade, to inform, or entertain? And the seasons on Earth, and it has a chart of the different seasons where it's facing the sun. Is that written to persuade, inform, or entertain? If you said persuade for the eat fruit and be healthy, you are correct. This is an advertisement. And if you said inform for the seasons on earth, you are correct. It is informing us about where we are located in comparison to the sun during each season. Okay, this first one, classic comics, Gulliver's Travels. Is that written to persuade, to inform, to entertain, or explain? And then the next one is Crumble Bumple's Pie. Over 120 cheesecake recipes for every occasion. Is that written to persuade, inform, entertain, or explain? For Gulliver's Travel, if you said to entertain, you are correct. And for the Crumble Bumple's Pie, if you said to explain, you are correct. Remember, recipes are written to explain something. Okay, so for our assignment today, you are going to look at several different examples of different passages, and you are going to either put a P for persuade, an I for inform, or an E for entertain in the box on each one to tell me whether they're written to persuade, to inform, or entertain. Remember, persuading is trying to convince somebody to do something or buy something. Inform means you're trying to teach somebody something. And entertain means that it is written for fun.